This story goes back to Curse of Strahd again, when we were playing Curse of Strahd. And I was the dungeon master for the game, and Tyler was playing Tholex, the human paladin, and Jordan was playing too. He was playing a goblin investigator rogue, and they were about level 2 or 3. I think you were guys.
I think we were 2. I think we were 2 because we had just gotten. I think it was the very first game of Curse of Strahd, maybe the second one, and we had just gotten to Barovia, and we had just left.
Yes. It was the second game. It was the very second game. The very first game you guys played, you guys were in the Death House, and you just did some spooky stuff there, and that got you just like to level 2.
Yeah.
Then you guys left Barovia, and for those of you who have played Curse of Strahd, right after Barovia is one of the deadliest encounters in any of the pre-written 5th edition adventures that there is. And right when you get out of Barovia, which is like level 2 or 3, there is a lair, a windmill called, it's called the Old Bone Grinder.
Yeah.
And the Old Bone Grinder has 3 night hags in it.
A coven of
A coven of night hags. And if night hags are a challenge of 5. And that is really high for a group of maybe 6 adventurers.
There were 3 of them.
At level 2, which is pretty deadly. You're relying so much on just pure dice rolls and luck.
Yeah.
Instead of like for sure spells or items that will do
because you
damage.
don't have anything at those levels. Like you don't have your subclasses by that point.
Exactly.
You get them at level 3. You don't have a subclass at level 2.
I think like sorcerers and warlocks do. I think those are like the only ones.
But the main classes they don't.
Yeah, and so just for reference, these night hags each have about 112 hit points, and they can do they can only do 1 attack, and it's a claw attack, and it's +7 to hit, and on average it does 13 slashing damage. These guys are level 2. Their average hit points are either 10 to 20 hit points, meaning these hags are going to take them down in about 2 hits. They also have spells like Magic Missile, Plane Shift, Sleep. They have magic resistance. They can change their shape. They can haunt people to give them nightmares. And their armor class is 17. And the highest, if you're level 2 and you're a fighter, the highest bonus you're getting for your attack is probably either a 6, 7, or 8. So you need a pretty good roll to hit these guys, and you don't have extra attack yet, so you're just doing 1. And even then it's like 5 damage to their 112 health.
And
they are also resistant to cold, fire, bludgeoning, piercing, slashing damage from not magic or silvered weapons. They do not have any magic or silvered weapons.
No, not at this point.
There are not 1, but there are 3 of these.
And they were a coven, so I think they had extra special things too.
It's in the actual book, but they had like little extra spells and stuff they could do. And this is right at the beginning of the game. They just stick that there. And what the book advises you to do is it's just like, look, this is deadly, and your players probably shouldn't go through this. It's supposed to be a warning to Barovia as to how deadly it is. So show them how scary and powerful it is, and hopefully they run away and then they come back to defeat them later. But these fucking idiots were like, nah. So they get to the bone grinder, and they walk in, and they go inside, and as soon as they walk in, there's bones littered all over the ground, very small, shriveled bones. As kind of Tyler's character looks at me, he's like, I'm not having any of this, because this is a little creepy, and everybody's just kind of looking around the windmill, not knowing what to do, and they can hear some noises from upstairs. In the bottom room, there's chests filled with weird potions that do weird things, and there's an oven, and just other kind of homey stuff like that. Go up the stairs into the next room, and they open the door, and there's this very nice old lady there. And there's only one old lady, and she's in there, and she's cooking what looked like were they biscuits, or they were pies?
Dream pies.
They were called dream pies. And And it was very weird because she offered them some. They were about a gold each, and she would tell them that if you ate this, you could leave Barovia. Now, the story behind Curse of Strahd is that the players are trapped and they cannot leave. They cannot leave Barovia whatsoever. They're completely trapped there. And they have to find a way out by defeating Strahd. So this was like, oh my gosh, we can go back home. These dream pies can save us. Or this creepy old lady is just trying to trick us. And Tyler's character, Tholex, is already onto it. He's just like,
I'm worried like these are not good pies. Whatever the fuck is happening here is not good.
Because they weren't animal bones.
No.
They looked like people bones, but they were a little small.
But they were small people bones.
So they're already a little skeptical about what's supposed to go on. So Tyler's character begins to just intimidate the crap out of this old lady. She's like, tell us what's going on. If you don't, we will kill you. And I'm sitting here like, oh, no, don't do this. And they can hear noises upstairs. And the rogue begins to kind of investigate and go upstairs and figure out what's going on. One thing led to another. They were breaching, and the lady was like, you need to leave. And it turned out they kind of sort of angered her, and she turned into her hag form, and they began to fight her. At this point, the door to upstairs also opened, and 2 other night hags ran down, began to fight all of them, and the party's just like, well, we can do this, and I'm there like, no, and they start fighting, and I think like Logan's character's first, and he's like, all right, here we go, and a hag walks over to him, 1 hit, dead, and it's like, oh!
Like, shit!
At least unconscious, not dead.
Yeah.
And they're like, maybe we shouldn't do this, but Tyler's like,
Nope. My character is a paladin from a very nature-based... Fuck these fucking hags, they're dead. I don't care, these guys are dead.
So they're like, alright, I guess we're fighting them. So they're using up healing spells left and right. The cleric is constantly up and then down, and then up and then down.
I remember I was on the front lines the entire time, so I probably went down through this fight like 6 times, and then brought back up to 1 health, did another attack, went back down, and then the cleric I think our cleric was just in the back, just bringing people back up. Just,
and then suddenly, they're out of spell slots. You're out of lay on hands.
Yeah, like
where the rogue is down. People are dying. They've got 1 to half health, and Argo, Jordan's character, is just like, well, we need to get creative. So he grabs a hag.
Wait, but by this point, how long have you had already been in this one fight?
This game was already going on. It was like a 6-hour game, and the beginning of the game was like an hour to get there, and then with this fight had been going on for almost 2 or 3 hours at this point.
Yeah.
And everybody's really into it. They're just like, okay, we're gonna do this, and I'm like, this is insane. So Jordan's character Argo immediately goes, all right, well, we're taking these down. We have to get creative. And Jordan is a big fan of WWE and wrestling. Yeah. So, of course, he grabs one of the hags. He's a goblin.
He's a goblin.
And he grabs one of the hags and just goes, and goes backwards and like suplexes her down the stairs. And I'm like, well, that's like a D6 damage every time. So it's like, and he succeeded his grapple and everything like perfectly, like really well. So they got the hag down the stairs.
Yeah.
I think they end up running down there. They kill her and they finally kill one. It's like, okay, if we split up, we're okay. I think they take another one and they're like, well, let's just, and they throw her out the window.
Yeah.
So once lands out the window, she's dead.
No. I think she got back up from dropping out the window.
Yeah.
Starts running. I think who it was, shoots her out the window.
Yeah, okay. So they drop her out the window and she's like, well, screw it, I'm running. And she starts running away. Logan's character, who's a wizard, is just like, magic missile, and she's dead.
Yeah.
Because she can take damage from magic attacks. So there's 1 left. And Tyler's character is like, you know what, Argo, that was a good idea. Grabs her, brings her down the stairs, down to the bottom level. She's low on hit points. She keeps hitting you over and over again. She keeps missing.
I'm just holding on.
And you're like,
apparently I didn't even realize this, but my character likes to grapple the super powerful enemies.
Grappling is super fun. And so you're like in the bottom room, you're looking around, you don't know what to do, and I'm like, well, there's an oven, and you're like, good.
So in my mind, I'm just thinking like narratively, you have these hags who are taking children and baking them into pies. What story does this remind you of? oh yeah, Hansel and Gretel. How do Hansel and Gretel defeat their hag? By stuffing her into an oven.
And that's what he did. Went over to that oven, he just opened it, and I'm like, is it on? And he's like, yeah, it's really hot. She was about to bake some stuff there. And he's like, good. Whoop! That hag took a lot of fire damage and just... And she died.
And I just held it close.
Yeah,
too.
exactly.
I
You were
just held her
succeeding
in.
on those strength checks.
So even though she was trying to get out, you said she had resistance to fire, but I held her in there long enough that...
Yes, she did. But they had already done like damage to her over the course of like a ton of rounds. And you held her in, and you opened it, and she was completely dead. All of them died. You took their little thing, and it was just like, oh my gosh! And that leveled you guys up to like 4. It was crazy. It was an insane amount of XP you guys got. Yeah. Just because of like creativity XP and all the stuff that you got. But
And we saved 2 children.
oh, and then you went upstairs and you found like 2 children and you saved them, and it was cute. And but it was a very victorious moment, and I think we like ended right after that. I was like, okay, no.
It was like a 5-hour fight.
Yeah.
So we were like, okay, that was a good session. We spent...
That's how the party defeated way higher level hags than they ever should have.